G'day guys, my name's Marky, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. With that said, sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's go. Cheers. I, 17 female, have celiac disease. My new friend group, 16 to 22 female and male, think I'm anorexic and plan on having an intervention. So for a little background, my parents divorced when I was very young. My mum got me for most of the year, and my dad got me for the summer. I hated going to my dad's house, partially because he was very stubborn and rude and always had to do things his way, but also because every time I went to my dad's house, I got violently sick. Nausea, rashes, pain, muscle cramps, and then when I got older, I had started missing my periods. TMI? I went to a doctor, but he said that it was a psychosomatic problem related to stress and directed me to see a therapist. My dad didn't let me see a therapist because he thought that it was total crap. My mum took me to one a few times, but by then, my symptoms had cleared up, so we couldn't tell if it helped at all. One thing that really pissed me off was that my dad ate a lot of junk food and drank soda instead of water, and he mocked me mercilessly if I tried to eat healthy. I think it reminded him of my mum, because she's always been a bit of a health nut. I would sneak carrots into the house, and if he found them, he would throw them out. At my mum's house, I would eat vegetables and organic chicken. Sometimes the food would make me sick, but I would just stop eating the food and it was fine. I got into the habit of turning down any food offered to me because I didn't know if it was safe. I just explained it away as being a picky eater. And then, when I was 16, a new girl moved to my school. I became friends with her, and after a couple of months, I noticed that she avoided all the same foods as me. I mentioned it in passing like, hey, isn't that weird? And she got concerned and told me that she had celiac disease and that I should get myself checked. I got checked, and sure enough, I had it. Everything suddenly made sense. I was so excited to finally understand what was wrong that I told everybody that I knew. I told all the people who I thought were my friends, and they didn't really react well. They acted fine at first, but I noticed that they were all doing this slow fade on me. I confronted my closest friend about it, and she said they all thought that I was faking it for attention. They'd only heard about gluten-free diets as a stupid fad. I broke down crying and told her all about how horrible I felt when I had to go to my dad's house and how I couldn't believe that she didn't believe me, and she was horrified. She turned around and became my biggest supporter. She talked to the others, but they still thought that I was full of shit and feeding her lies, so we decided that it was best to break it off with them. My birthday is in August, so I had 2 more summers with my dad left to go through after I found out. He took the revelation about my disease even worse than my ex-friends. He would scream that I thought that I was better than him and I was making up medical problems because I wanted to be special and that he wouldn't put up with that shit. I offered to take him with me to the doctor, but he said that doctors are scam artists and he didn't believe anything they said. It was horrible. It got to the point where he started sabotaging my food and cursing at me when I got sick. So I've gotten pretty wary about telling people about the disease. Between my personal experiences and hearing people make fun of gluten-free food on TV and the internet, I've decided that I'm not comfortable with telling new people. I know that's cowardly, but I'm so afraid of what people will think of me. This is my last summer with my dad. It is the last summer with my dad. He can rot in hell for all I care. He treats me like shit. I've only got to tough it out for another few weeks. That's not my problem. I can already hear your advice about leaving my dad's house or calling CPS, and respectively, I've made my decision that it's easier just to stay for the next 3 weeks and then leave forever. Please don't focus on that part. This is the problem that I need help with. My best friend and I have made a new group of friends. They're great people, really fun. We play role-playing games every weekend. We've been hanging out since May. There's 10 or 11 of them, depending on whether you count the guy who doesn't regularly attend games. My best friend approached me yesterday and told me that the rest of the group has been talking behind my back. They've put together the fact that I constantly turn down food, and that I'm very picky about what I eat, and that I've been getting thinner and acting sick because I've been living with my dad, and come to the conclusion that I have anorexia. They are planning on staging an intervention for me next weekend. Guys, I don't know what to do. This is such an awkward situation. I know I should tell them, but I'm so scared that they're going to reject me. They've already got this idea in their heads about what's wrong, and at this point, I'm afraid they'll think that I'm just making excuses. And I have been burned before. I lost a ton of friends by telling them about my disease. Yeah, they're dicks, but it effing hurts. How do I do this? How do I explain it so they'll believe me? I can't handle any more people calling me a liar. I'll have a mental breakdown. This disease has ruined my life in so many ways. I just wanted to have this one part of my life separate from that. Please, Reddit, give me advice. In the comments, Married a Brit 73 says, "Can't your friend just say, yeah, she's a celiac, got diagnosed a few years ago, but her dad's a dick about sticking to the diet? If your friends were casual about it, or you were, then this would not be an issue. In the absence of facts, people will use the evidence they have and draw a conclusion. Give them enough facts to draw the conclusion that you want. Next time you're out, maybe mention casually going for your checkup before visiting dad, and make an effort to eat the things that you can, / bring food that you can with you. Not everyone will be a dick about it." The silver lining here is that these new friends are worried and care enough to try to help you, even if they are misguided. Maybe chat with them before this intervention happens. Your other friend really should have explained this to them already, but try to take the chance now to say, "Hey, I want to share something about myself that I haven't yet. It might help explain some of my behaviors that seem weird." Include that celiacs who get gluten can become malnourished and can lose weight. Also, please reconsider staying at your dad's. It breaks my heart reading this whole story. This is going to be a very important moment for you. My boyfriend has celiac disease and has learned the hard way about being your own advocate. You have fad dieters on one hand and people who don't comprehend the disease on the other, and they will be a source of eye rolls and sighs for you for a long time to come. But this is your health. You've had some unfortunate guardians in your life, and now is the time to begin practicing standing up for yourself. You deserve to feel healthy and happy and not feel like shit. Side note, in addition to your high amount of stress, celiacs have a higher rate of depression. It's a symptom. Make sure you take care of yourself in all areas, and see if your school in the fall has a counselor that you can work with. Yeah, I found it very weird that your best friend here isn't advocating for you and isn't standing up for you to this group of friends. If I were in their shoes, that would be the first thing I'd do, be like, whoa, you guys are overreacting. Now, can I trust you with this? She's a celiac. She has been bullied for that in the past. We have lost a friend group already because people didn't believe that it existed. What we're not going to do is stage an intervention and try and force her to eat, food that isn't going to agree with her. Please understand that this is why. But I can see why that might be a bad idea in OP's eyes, as it has not been the right decision in the past. Ultimately, I think some blame lies on the best friend for not guiding them towards a, hey, she's not anorexic, I know what she's like, please believe me, kind of resolution. And now, on to the updates. Hey guys, thanks for all your help. The intervention was yesterday, and I figured that you guys would want to know how everything went. TLDR, it went well. A few hours before the game started, one of my friends, let's call him Zach, texted me asking to come to his house, as he hosts the games, early because he wanted to discuss gaming terms that will be nonsense to most of you. I figured this was probably the intervention and texted my best friend. I think there was some confusion in the last post. This is the friend who was with my other friend group, who I poured my heart out to, and then she followed me to this new friend group. Let's call her Laura, to ask if she had been invited too. She hadn't, so I asked her to come with me. Before I went to his house, I did something a little cheeky, inspired by one of the comments on the last post. Thanks to user I'd have to charge, I went and picked up some gluten-free Chinese food from a place that I frequent. They have this amazing vegetable fried rice that I've fallen in love with. They are really careful about cross-contamination. I've been eating there for years and have never gotten sick. I brought the food with me to Zach's house, along with Laura and my notebooks and dice for role-playing. Zach seemed really taken aback that Laura was there. I asked him if he had a problem with it, because if we were going to talk about complicated gaming things, then she should be a part of the conversation because of qualifications. Ugh, I'm really sorry. I'm trying not to drop a crap ton of gaming jargon on y'all. He awkwardly said that it was fine, and then I said something like, "Is it alright if I eat something while we do this? I missed lunch, and I'm really hungry," and pulled out the Chinese food. He said that it was fine, but seemed kind of alarmed, like I was freaking him out. I started eating, and he started his pitch. "Opie, I didn't actually call you here to talk about game crap. Me and some of the others have noticed some things recently that we're concerned about, and they elected me to talk to you about it." I said, "Okay." He listed off a bunch of things that I've been doing that made them worry about me. The way they never saw me eat anything, that I always seemed sick and was getting thinner, the fact that I always seemed uncomfortable and nervous when the topic of food came up, that I turned down everything offered to me, and then he finally dropped the bombshell. "Opie, Michael's oldest sister is anorexic and she acts a lot like you do. We think you might be anorexic." I swallowed my food and tried not to look nervous and said, "I'm not." He started talking about how nobody thinks they're anorexic, but there's clearly something going on with me, and he just started rambling, so I cut him off. I said, "I do have a problem. It's not anorexia. Can I talk?" He reluctantly agreed. I think he was afraid that I was going to say that I was too fat, and my problem was that I needed to lose weight or something. Like, he really got committed to the idea that I was anorexic. I'm going to try to paraphrase what I said here, because I was very proud of myself for it. "I know I'm losing weight in an unhealthy way, but it's not on purpose. I have a disease that means that I can't eat grains like wheat, barley, and rye. When I do, I get very sick, and my body starts ripping up my stomach, and I can't digest much of anything, even things that don't have those grains in them. It's not just an allergy, it does serious long-term damage to me. If I ate a piece of bread, I would break out in rashes, I would start throwing up, and I might get stuff that seems unrelated, like horrible muscle cramps. When I turn down food, it's because you guys offer me stuff like Doritos and PB&Js. If I ate that stuff, it would make me violently ill. I turn it down to keep from making my health problems even worse. And the reason my symptoms have been popping up and I've been getting sick and losing weight is that right now I'm living in a family situation where I'm forced to eat foods that make my body react badly. When I first met you guys, I was living with my mum and she accommodated me really well. But right now I'm living with my dad and he sabotages my food because he thinks I'm making my disease up and that my doctor is a fraud. Zach took out actual note cards and looked through them. He literally had a script for the intervention. That's what I get for hanging out with the kind of dramatic people who play tabletop RPGs, I guess. He was quiet for a really long time, and then he had a few questions. But then why do you turn down, like, Coke? Because Coke is nasty? But I didn't want to complain and make you guys buy root beer just for me. Why didn't you just tell us this stuff? Laura took this one and explained what happened with our last friend group. Okay, so like, what would I probably have in the house right now that you would be willing to eat in front of me? I wanted to facepalm at this one, and they asked if he was serious, and he was. I don't know, have you got celery? He shook his head. Yogurt? Nope. An apple? Nope. Seriously? He nodded. Have you got some frickin' popcorn, like air-popped popcorn? That he did have. So I ate some popcorn in front of him, and he finally seemed to accept what I was saying. He awkwardly changed the subject to gaming things, and we talked about that until the rest of the group started to show up. When Michael got there, Zach took him aside and started talking to him in a way that I guess they thought was subtle. They kept looking over at me, and they weren't keeping their voices down very well. Michael asked if I seemed defensive, and Zach shrugged and said not really. I pointedly ate popcorn for the rest of the game. Michael texted me after the game and apologized for assuming that I was anorexic and asked what snacks they could put out for me. I actually cried a little bit. I was worried about getting kicked out, but they immediately moved to accommodating me. They are nice people. So everything worked out fine. Sorry for the anticlimax. In the comments, Sarah Goldfarb says, "Yay, great job. It's so funny that they made you eat popcorn even though you'd been eating takeout. They do sound very sweet and well-meaning, if a bit presumptuous and dramatic. He didn't have a choice, it was on his note card. A lot of people don't have friends that would be willing to confront a friend that they think is struggling with something. I'd take it as a blessing. It was a totally awesome move by them. The fact that they're socially awkward with zero idea on healthy eating turned it into comedy gold. This was a crazy read, especially considering that one of my nephews just got diagnosed with celiac this summer. When they were explaining it to us in regards to a visit, so we knew what sort of food he could eat, the symptoms sounded just miserable, as did the effect of eating any gluten at all. He told us even a breadcrumb could trigger an attack. The OP's father is a real piece of shit for trying to purposefully make her eat that. The sad part is that most folks don't get diagnosed for years. Well, all's well that ends well with that one. I'm very glad that the friend group became accommodating instead of attacking OP like the father and like the old friend group, because that's not healthy, that's not good behavior to have. I thank them a lot for being decent people and welcoming people. I hope you have many more fun tabletop RPG adventures with them, OP. That sounds like a great time, and thank you for the story. Our next post is by user Dad in Dilemma 10, titled, "Would I be the asshole for telling my son to wear not his favorite jacket anymore because it, quote-unquote, looks gay? I'm a single dad to my son, Oliver, 10 male. He's with me most of the time and sees his mum every other weekend. He's an awesome kid, is creative, full of energy, and he's got his own sense of style that's pretty unique. He loves bright colors, nail polish, and clothes that some people might think are more girly. If I'm honest, I think Oliver might be gay, and I'm totally cool with that. I've always made it clear that whoever he turns out to be, I'll support him 100%. Because of how he dresses and acts, Oliver had a really rough time with other kids. He got bullied so badly at his old school that I ended up pulling him out and homeschooling him. The school wasn't helpful at all, and it was heartbreaking to see him go through that. He's struggled to make friends, and it kills me to see him feel so alone. Now he's starting back at school in September, and he's really excited about it. But recently, we were at a cousin's birthday party, and Oliver wore his favorite jacket, which is a bright pink, sparkly one that he loves. Some of the other kids started picking on him, saying he looked gay. I stepped in, got the kids to apologize, but it ruined the day for Oliver, and I'm worried about how things will go when he's back at school. I've been thinking about whether I should talk to Oliver about maybe toning it down a bit, especially when he's around new people. Not because I want him to change who he is, but because I hate seeing him get hurt and feel like an outcast. I don't want him to feel like he has to hide who he is, but I also don't want him to be picked on or excluded because of it. But then I feel like a complete asshole for even thinking about this. I don't want him to think that I'm ashamed of him or that he has to conform to be accepted. I want him to feel free to be himself, but I'm also scared of him being hurt by others who don't get it. So would I be the asshole if I talk to Oliver about maybe being a bit more low-key with his style? In the comments, Accomplished Mango 28 says, "Do not dull his shine because others don't understand him. I understand that it may be coming from a place of protection, but it needs to be addressed with potential aggressors, not with forcing your son to change who he is." OP says, "But when you can't do anything more with potential aggressors? I have done and will continue to do everything I can, but sadly I can't literally watch his back 24/7, even though I would if I could. Anytime he has a comment made to him, it breaks his little heart, and it's so devastating seeing him go through that again and again." Jesus, where do you live? Most kids don't care about this kind of thing these days. If this is for real, then here's my advice. Even at 10, Oliver will know why the bullies are saying they're targeting him. Kids are highly attuned to their differences, yet he is still dressing the way that he wants to dress. In my experience, it's kids who lack confidence who are more likely to get bullied. I don't mean that it's a kid's fault for being bullied, just that confidence can improve the situation. My father was the town drunk. He couldn't hold down a job, he was a proud atheist in a religious area, and because we had no money, I had no decent clothes. I was also a tubby kid, yet I hardly ever got bullied. I think you need to talk to Oliver honestly. Tell him that some kids give him a hard time because he likes to be creative and that they can't handle that. But that doesn't mean that they're right and that you are proud of his independence. Encourage him to talk to you about any jerks. This way, you're acknowledging the problem and are not angry or ashamed of him. So he'll be more likely to know his choices and to know that he can go to you. I would also go to the school now and ask for a meeting with his teacher and maybe even the principal. Talk about how to nip any bullying in the bud. I'd ask your GP and the people at the school if it would be possible to get counseling for Oliver so that he can talk about any concerns and get advice. Good on you for wanting to stay on top of this. As a teacher, I can tell you the "most kids don't care about this kind of thing these days" isn't accurate. There has been a huge rise in both homophobia and sexist behavior in young people. Especially boys, but both sexes are guilty of it. I call it the Andrew Tate effect, and it's genuinely depressing to see as a gay teacher. So why did you call the jacket gay if you don't care if your son comes out as gay? Calling it gay is making it into something that a 10-year-old doesn't need to be worrying about at 10. OP says, I didn't. Did you read the post? Look, if they're not picking on him for the jacket, they'll pick on him for his nail polish, then his face, his height, the way he talks, the things he likes, his hobbies, his talents. He'll be picked on for being him. Better to help him identify the bullies and build up his confidence so that he can stand up for himself. You'll need to be proactive with the school, making sure they clamp down on any bullying. Support him. Telling him to hide what he loves will only make him feel like you're ashamed of him. You would be the asshole. I feel like this is one of those situations that you have to kind of just allow to happen and support him as much as you can from the outside. Bullying is going to happen at school whether you like it or not. If you want to control the situation, you can pull him out again and do full-time homeschooling, but that's not going to help him. In my point of view, this is a sink or swim situation where there's going to be a lot of character growth, but there's going to be a lot of really bad feelings in the meantime. And as this is all going on, you can't protect him from everything, so you have to allow him to figure out the world by himself and how he's going to protect himself. So I think you would be the asshole if you told him not to wear his favorite jacket because it looks gay. Yes, you haven't said it, but if you did say it, that would be you bullying him as well when you're supposed to be supporting him. And now, onto the updates. Hey all, it's been about 26 days since my original post, and I thought that I'd give an update now that Oliver has had his first week back at school. I can happily say that, so far, things are going much better than I'd hoped. Over the summer, Oliver and I had a really important heart-to-heart. I sat him down and told him just how incredibly proud I am of the person that he is becoming, and I made sure that he knew that there is absolutely nothing he could ever do that would change the way that I see him or make me love him any less. Honestly, it was a bit emotional, and I even got a bit choked up. I told him that if wearing his favorite jacket, the one that caused some hurt before, made him happy, I'd stand behind him 100%. But I also wanted to make sure that he was prepared. I explained that while I will always be there for him, I can't always be around to protect him, and he might have to stand up for himself if kids make fun of him. I made it clear that this doesn't mean that he should change anything about who he is, but that he needs to be ready to handle it if anyone says anything cruel. Oliver understood, and we spent the summer coming up with some playful comebacks together. He really wanted to take the jacket with him to school, so we made it a bit of a project, imagining the kinds of things kids might say and crafting witty replies that he could fire back with. It was actually pretty fun, and I think it helped him feel more confident about it. Now, back to school. His new teacher knows all about his past struggles with bullying, and she's been amazing. She's keeping a close eye on things and making sure he feels safe and comfortable. It's made such a difference already, and Oliver's first week couldn't have gone better. He's even made a friend, a boy named Sam, and they've really hit it off. They're planning to meet up tomorrow at the Wacky Warehouse, and Oliver can't stop talking about it. It's been a long time since I've seen him this excited about spending time with someone his age. I know it's still early days, but seeing him come home happy and smiling each day has been such a relief. Thanks to everyone who gave advice and encouragement on my original post. I really took a lot of it to heart, and I think it made a big difference in how I approached all this. In the comments, Throw RA Affirm Me says, yeah, kids these days absolutely care about this stuff. The F slur and the R slur are back in full force, and they're calling each other gay over everything. I teach high school, so a lot of the time it's also the gay kids calling each other gay for fun, which is hilarious to watch, but the rise in homophobia, sexism, and ableism has also been meteoric, and everyone needs to be watching what their kids consume on the internet because little Jimmy or Jamantha is probably consuming content that you don't approve of, and most parents aren't even aware of how it's influencing their children for the worse. Yeah, we live in Texas, and my 7th grader has pride stuff on her backpack. She's still figuring herself out, but we're also fully allies of my nephew, who is transgender, and she puts up with a lot of shit over it. She just rolls her eyes at them, though it's mostly boys who make the comments. Our next post is by user individualbear7348, titled, Engagement Broken Because of My Maid of Honor. I, female 27, was about to get married to my fiancé, male 26, in a few months because of my choice of maid of honor. When he proposed to me, I went through the cheeky happiest girl alive shtick. We went through the announcements, and both of our families were excited for the wedding. Until we told our parents about our best man/maid of honor. He chose his older brother, while I chose my BFF, female 28. His family treated my choice like I didn't decide who would be my maid of honor and gave me time to select one. Every time I mentioned that my BFF would be my maid of honor, they shrugged it off and reminded me that I needed to pick my maid of honor before the wedding ceremony. Some of their antics included blocking my BFF from the dressing fitting, claiming that only the maid of honor can go with them, and preventing my BFF from picking a maid of honor dress because that is reserved only for the maid of honor. My BFF and I told my future mother-in-law that my BFF is my maid of honor, but she brushed it off and told me that I need to pick a maid of honor before the wedding. A few days later, my fiancé asked me who my maid of honor is. I told him that it's my BFF, and that's final. He took my hand and took off the ring, saying, I can't value someone that doesn't value family. He left, engagement broken. Myself dumbfounded on what the living hell happened. In the comments, Justicia says, I feel like there's something missing here. Is your BFF a different race or religion by chance? But also, can you imagine your life with a husband who takes this kind of bullshit from his parents and doesn't support you? The red flags on this. I'm glad you found out about what a dickbag your ex-boyfriend is before you tied the knot. If she has a sister that she didn't choose, that could be it. My mother-in-law was the same way when I chose my BFF as godmother instead of my sister. Or he has a sister that they think should be maid of honor. OP dodged a bullet. Does your fiancé have a sister or a female cousin who he is very close to? That could be the reason why they wanted you to take somebody else. Keep the BFF and kick your fiancé and his whole other shitty family to the curb. Edit to add, you dodged not only a bullet, but a cannonball here by staying with your BFF. If that's the case and they are so close, he should just marry her then. They seem like the type to keep it in the family since it is so important to them. Yeah, no idea what's going on there. And, we always go on about communication is the most important thing. If their communication is, no, you haven't picked a maid of honor, and that's it, well then, they deserve to have the engagement broken off on their side? Can you guys not just be adults here and tell OP why you don't agree with the BFF being decided for the maid of honor role in OP's wedding? Sorry, but we dictate your wedding. I know it's your wedding, but you shouldn't have any control over any choices in this one. No, we are not going to explain, and that's final. Goodbye. Just so weird. It's just such a weird dynamic to have, and I agree with everyone else, it's for the best that you get the hell out of there. And now, onto the updates. Wow, so many questions. Let's answer the obvious ones. Are my BFF and ex-fiancé exes? No. The engagement party was their first meeting. My ex and I went to the same college, and my BFF went to a different one. Race and religion involved? No. We are all white and Christian. Several of X's relatives, including his older brother, are married to people of color. Now on to the updates. A few hours after my original post, I found out from one of his relatives why my ex said that I had no family values. It turns out that in his family, the maid of honor and best man roles are reserved for siblings. I have 2 sisters, one older and one younger. Neither were interested because my older sister was mad at my ex for trying to set her up with one of his male co-workers at her own wedding to her wife. He did the same thing to her wife. I didn't know about this until after the broken engagement. My younger sister isn't interested because she was busy with her own college work. She took extra courses so she could graduate early. Ex tried to convince her to drop out of college to be a maid of honor. I guess I dodged a nuke of that one. In the comments, Jenna CC80 says, "What a psycho. If he's already trying to micromanage your maid of honor choice, imagine how he'd be if y'all had kids. You definitely dodged a bullet. Without even telling her it was a family tradition. This is one of the stupidest things to stupid that has ever stupided. Nice of them to assume that you knew their family rules about the maid of honor position. Too bad they didn't allow you the chance to explain your choice. Also, too bad your older sister didn't tell you about the attempted fix-ups until after the engagement ended. Thank the gods that you stood your ground regarding your choice. You dodged a full nuclear arsenal." So, who's your maid of honor? My BFF. So at no point ever did anyone reply, "Oh, not one of your sisters?" Or, "Shouldn't it be one of your sisters?" Or, "Why not one of your sisters?" Or, "No, a maid of honor has to be one of your sisters." I can't believe that no one said any variation of that. I can't believe her sister didn't tell her what he did at the wedding. I wonder what other secret rules they would have pulled out and not articulated later on. Secret tradition about baby naming, house selection, holiday dinner dishes. If you want to punish someone for making the wrong choice and don't want to explain the right choice, you just wanted an excuse to punish them. And the homophobia. Dude was trying to play hetero matchmaker at a wedding with 2 brides. I'm still stuck on the ex trying to set up his girlfriend's lesbian sister with his male co-worker at her own wedding. What got me even more is that she only found out after the breakup. I honestly can't stand my sibling, and even I would drop them a quick, "Just FYI, your partner's a bigot" message. Whether they chose to believe me or not would be their problem, but at least my conscience would be clear. Goes a long way to explain why the BFF was the first choice for maid of honor. Yeah, that's insane. Like, I understand how this all happened now, but it still doesn't excuse why it happened. And it doesn't excuse him for, trying to set a lesbian up at her own wedding with a man. What in God's name? Also, how do you not tell your sister about that? Does your sister hate you? Like, I can't deal with these people. Have lobotomies been on the rise? Is there a secret trend of lobotomies on TikTok that I'm not aware of? Is that why all these people are making brainless decisions? What's going on? And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Bye!